Okay, so tire and wheel are off. Tire assembly, wheel assembly, whatever the hell you want to call it. Tire and rim are off. So, because I'll say tire, one guy say, well, you took the wheel off. Another say, I take the wheel off. And some other guy will put in the comments, well, you took the tire off. Anyway, the tire is on the wheel and they're both off. So, there, I hope that covers everybody. So, that's off. Here's your lower control arm on the MK4, MK5, and a lot of these cars, it's the same on a lot of vehicles. How they're mounted is a little bit different from vehicle to vehicle, but they're pretty much all the same kind of an idea. And on these cars in particular, this Volkswagen, I can't speak for other ones, but you'll see right here the hole is a little bit bigger than what it should be. I can put my finger in it, kind of. And it's getting weak around here. And they rot out here and they break off. Actually, last winter, the one on the other side broke off, and I had to, in the middle of my driveway, and I had to jack it up and change it there. So I kind of suspected this one was heading the way of the dodo bird, and when I changed over the winter and the summers, I found that it indeed is. So what I have to do to change this, there's a bolt up in here, and I'm not going to do this step by step on this camera. This will be just time lapse. And there's a bolt right here, okay, and then a lot of time, of course, the sway bar bolt has come out, and if we're real lucky, I don't have to pull off the tie rod end or anything like that. I got to take out the 3 bolts here. I don't know if we can see that or not here because I can't see the angle of the camera. But there's 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3 for the ball joint. So I'm going to knock them out, and then I'll pull back this assembly. This is a new strut. I'll just pull back the strut assembly, and the ball joint end falls out pretty quick, and sometimes you got to pry this end out. We'll just pop the other one back in, put in the bolt, the 3 bolts for the lower ball joint, and the sway bar link bolt. And generally that's about it, as long as you don't run into any problems. So yeah, I don't remember the exact size of the bolts, but I think the ones under here I think are 13 mil, 12 or 13 mil for the, I mean, you can figure that out. I'll probably put them up on screen as I go along, but the so basically, if everything goes well, there's 6 bolts you have to take out besides the 5 to take the wheel off. So the rest will be on time lapse unless I run into an issue and to finalize. But I'm doing this outside on the ground. Basic tools, torque wrench always to put the wheel back on. So as an addendum, the Volkswagen guys out there probably would have caught on to this right away. I made a little boo-boo earlier. Everything I said was correct about what you had to remove. But I forgot, because I hadn't done one of these in a while, that you cannot remove this bolt right here unless you're able to move this pan forward. Like, taking off this pan doesn't help. I don't believe it does anyway. I wouldn't take it off regardless unless I was forced to. This is your transmission pan. This is an automatic. So I'm not sure if it clears on the standards or not, but I don't think it does either. So this one's a 2.0 slow with an automatic. So it's a city. So what I did, and I think you can do it without dropping these 2 bolts, but I took the bolt out here for the subframe. It's a 21 millimeter, and there's one back here, 21 millimeter. And that drops this just slightly, as you can see how much it drops it. Okay, and they go back in real easy. It's just, you know, there's no real alignment there. Just the bolts line it back up. And also, so you can swing this forward, because I want it to drop and I want to be able to swing forward. Now, you probably are able to do it by just unbolting the wishbone, but there's a torque rod on the front of the engine right here. Okay, torque arm right there. And I took the 2 bolts out of that. And that basically is there so that when you accelerate or what have you, the engine doesn't go bang, 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 bang. It keeps the engine from moving this way, forward and backwards on the bottom. Okay, so I never try to remove it from the back because it kind of goes in the frame and it's a bit of a pain in the ass. There's no need to anyway. So there's just two, they're 16 millimeter bolts. The long one goes in the back, the short one goes in the front, okay? And so you just put this back in place and zip those back up there, and you're back going. So you probably don't have to remove, and I'm sure you guys out there will correct me in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did anyway, the 221 millimeters on the subframe, because this is just a subframe, right? There's no real frame on this. This is a unibody. And so, and these two bolts, and you don't have to do it. The last 3 or 4 of these I changed was on the passenger side, the right hand side of the vehicle, and you don't have to do it there. So I forgot about it. There's nothing in the way. Maybe on some other vehicles, but not on these Volkswagens. So if you're doing the driver's side, there's 4 extra bolts. Pop the 2 out there for the subframe. Pop these 2 out. When you take the 2 out of that side, it'll drop 1 inch, and this here will allow you to swing it back and forth. And you'll see in the time lapse I use a big bar to pry them so I can pull the bolt out. Because I've seen guys in the past pull the bolt out, cut it off, pull the bolt out, cut it off, and then you can't put the new one in anyway. So you still have to do this. So that doesn't help. So the unless it's just seized in there so bad, you got to cut it out. So I forgot about that. It's not a big extra deal. It adds 5 or 6 minutes to the whole thing, and then it pops out very quickly and goes back in place. And I just don't pry on the, I pried between the subframe and the housing up here, and it moves very easily. But I've had trouble with these pans in the past, and I didn't buy this car new. And a lot of people, when this one has the same thing. There's bolts in here that don't belong here, and there's nuts on the end because they strip these holes out. And this one has it on there already. I can see the bolt on the other side has a nut on it. They're supposed to be threaded. So, you know, just pry on it. Use a 4-foot bar or whatever and pry on it. But I'm doing this by myself, so with 2 people, I mean, this is not a long job, even by myself. But with 2 people, it's a peanut, you know. And I'm telling you, like earlier, degrease everything before you put it back together. And so I'm using, some people will use anti-seize. Anti-seize is really expensive right now here in Canada. Like, it's super expensive. This wheel bearing grease, Motormaster is a Canadian Tire brand. Grease is grease, whatever grease, it doesn't matter who makes it. This is still very affordable. So I'll probably never pull this car apart again. If this control arm goes, this car will probably be time for it to be pressed anyway. But still, I'm going to grease everything before I put it back together, because if I don't and it seizes, as luck will have it, I'll be the guy pulling it apart again. So yeah, so anyway, so for that, you have to pull those 2 out, and that on the lower torque rod on the engine mount on the front. Just take out the 2 bolts, and then this whole thing goes very easily. For the passenger side or the right hand side of the vehicle, you do not have to do that.